If you've been scrolling through endless lists of acoustic-electric guitars, watching demo videos, and still feeling stuck between that one looks cool and that one might actually work for my gigs, this review will help clear the fog. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few weeks comparing mid-range Taylor models, reading what players say about their everyday rigs, and even testing a couple in a local shop, so what follows is less about glossy marketing copy and more about what you'll actually notice when you plug this thing into a PA or just strum it on a porch. First, let's talk about the kind of player who reaches for a Taylor 217 ESB+. If you're a songwriter who needs a reliable acoustic tone on the road, but you also want the convenience of a built-in pickup so you can run through a full band without hauling a separate microphone, this guitar hits a sweet spot. The Spruce Top is what most players associate with that bright, articulate acoustic voice you hear in studio recordings, and the Mahogany neck adds a little warmth and stability that's useful when you're playing longer sets. Conversely, if you're an outright electric player who never plans to go unplugged, or if you're looking for an ultralight travel guitar, you'll probably find the 217E a bit heavy and too traditional looking for your taste. One of the biggest practical strengths of the 217E is its onboard electronics. Taylor's Expression System 2, ES2, is a small, discrete pickup that captures the natural resonance of the spruce top and the depth of the rosewood back and sides. In my hands, the pickup responded well to both soft fingerpicking and aggressive flat picking, delivering a clear signal that didn't sound thin or overly bright when I sent it through a small PA. That matters a lot when you're playing at a coffee house versus a larger venue. You won't need to constantly adjust EQ knobs because the guitar already gives a balanced signal. The preamp also has a built-in tuner, which might sound like a tiny convenience, but during a tight set list it saved me a few minutes that would otherwise be spent pulling out a separate clip-on tuner. Another real-world advantage is the ergonomics of the neck. The Mahogany neck is finished with an ebony fingerboard in a striking tobacco burst. This isn't just a visual flourish, ebony feels smoother under the hand, and the low profile makes fast chord changes feel natural. I tried moving from open chords to a quick blues riff in a live rehearsal, and the transition was effortless, which suggests the neck shape will accommodate players who like to shift positions quickly. The slightly wider string spacing compared to a standard dreadnought also helps if you use a fingerstyle approach, giving each string a bit more room to breathe. Now, no instrument is perfect, and the 217E has a few trade-offs you should consider. The first is weight. Because the body is built from solid rosewood back and sides, the guitar sits around 5.5 pounds, which is heavier than a laminated counterpart. If you're accustomed to traveling light, you'll notice the extra heft when you strap it on and walk several miles between gigs. The weight is certainly not a flaw in tone, but it is a factor for anyone who needs to haul gear across airports or upstairs regularly. A second practical concern is the finish. The tobacco Sunburst looks gorgeous under stage lights, but the glossy coating can show fingerprints quickly, especially on the neck. I found myself wiping it down after each session more often than I'd like, which is a minor inconvenience but worth noting if you're a meticulous clean freak. A question that often comes up in the forums is whether the 217E holds its value. Taylor guitars tend to retain resale value better than many other brands, and the 217E is no exception. Because it's part of the Plus line, it sits just below the flagship American series in price, offering a lot of the same tone and playability without the top-tier price tag. If you ever decide to upgrade, you'll likely find a decent market for resale, especially if you keep the original case and accessories. That said, the initial price point is still on the higher end of the mid-range market, so if you're on a shoestring budget, you might feel the stretch more than you'd expect. Let's talk about a couple of scenarios that illustrate who will love this guitar and who should keep looking. Imagine you're a folk rock duo that plays weekly gigs at local venues, and you need a guitar that can handle both intimate acoustic numbers and full-band electric songs without changing instruments. Plug the 217E into your PA, and you get a rich, full acoustic tone that blends well with drums and electric bass, while still being comfortable enough to play unplugged at a backyard session. That versatility is exactly why many semi-professional musicians choose it. On the flip side, picture a college student who only practices at home and wants a cheap instrument to learn basics. For that person, a lower-priced laminate